Okay, the time is 11:02, and I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 5 Board of Directors meeting for Thursday, March 30th, 2023. Oh, I'm sorry. First item, business A, is going to be administer statements of officer and oaths of office to newly appointed and reappointed board members.
All right, if you would stand, please, and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
Chris Spiegel.
Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office as a member of the TERS Number 5 Board of Directors for the City of Denison, Texas, and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God. Okay, if you would each sign your oaths, I will figure out that in a minute.
What is it?
Did you sign his, Chris?
What? No, I, Christopher Spiegel.
Okay, there you go.
Which one did I sign? Mine's down.
Yours are right here.
Oh, statement, of-
Yep.
okay.
So you're gonna sign your oaths.
Yeah, both of
And
them.
I'll pick them up at the end of the meeting.
Got it, okay. I was like, no, it says my name on it.
I wasn't sure where mine is going.
All right, at this time of public comments, citizens may speak on items listed on the agenda. A request to speak card must be completed and returned to the city clerk or board secretary upon arrival prior to the board reaching the public comments section of the agenda. Citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise required by law. Do we have any at this time? Okay. Item 3 on the agenda, items for individual consideration. A, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on approving the minutes from the meeting held on March 18th, 2021. May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
A second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. We're going to see item C first. Receive an update and hold a discussion on the financial status of Tax Increment Fund for TERS Number 5. Orlando?
Good morning. I'm glad y'all can make it today. Let's see. So I'm just going to give y'all a little brief background of this TERS. Both the city and a county contribute to the TIF based on the TERS 5 values. The city and county both contribute 50%. The city contributes from the M&O tax rate, and the county contributes from their general fund tax rate. And this is a fairly new TERS, and so deposits began in fiscal year of 22. And here's a little breakdown of how the contributions work. And so 57 cents per $100, and 50% of that will go into the TIF, and the same as for the county. And we expect the balance of that TIF for this year to be around $384,000, and we will see that grow more as the life of the TERS continues. Oops. Yes.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is going to be item 3B, receive report, hold a discussion, take action on TERS Number 5 application from JNPHM Development LLC.
I'm going to give y'all. Thanks.
Thank you.
JNPHM Development has come forward with a TERS reimbursement application for the Rosemary development. Within the application, developer provided a preliminary site plan. You can find this on the light orange tab. I also added an aerial map at the very last page of this application. The multifamily development will be constructed on 16 acres between US 75 Frontage Road and Lillis Lane. The developers plan to extend the Viking Street alongside the north boundary of the tract. This will be the main road for planned development. The development will be inside city limits and will utilize 2 tracks. The western side of the parcel will be a commercial tract which is zoned local retail, and the eastern side of the parcel will be multifamily residential tract which is zoned MF2. The zoning has been previously approved with ordinance 5172. The other side. Okay. The first phase will consist of 126 multifamily residential units. These will be a combination of several 3-story buildings that host 24 units each and multiple duplexes. The developers estimating the start date of 10/1/23 and finishing up in about 18 months. You can see the tentative schedule of the start and completion dates for each phase on the pink tab. The expected property value is $140,000 per unit, or $17.6 million total for the first phase, and you can find these values on the blue tabs. The second phase will consist of 72 additional multifamily units and will begin construction once the initial units reach economic occupancy. The developer is approximating 95% occupancy as a threshold. The second phase is anticipated to begin construction on 5/1/25 and taking a year to complete. As we know, construction can change often, so these are just estimates. And these additional units have an estimated property value of $140,000 per unit, or $10 million total. As for commercial properties, they anticipate to build an 8,000 square foot commercial strip center in the center of the commercial tract, the first lot to start on 10/1/23, and the time of completion is estimated about a year. And then they will have continuous lots be developed in 2025 and take about a year to build out as well. And now for discussion purposes, our consultants ran a model using the data the developers provided. Our consultants felt that the data was accurate, and so they provided this model for us. It's likely that these numbers will look different, but we want to see how this development will affect the TERS economically. And you can see this in the orange tab for a better view. In the first columns, we have our TERS terms, tax years, and growth rates. The consultants used a very conservative growth rate of 2% annually, with no growth for 2 years between each decade. The consultants used the previous tax year's city M&O rate and the county's general fund rate to calculate these estimations. The development columns with the gray heading have data pulled from the application. The intention is to build 126 units in phase 1, as mentioned before, with the value of $140,000 per unit. Also, the commercial property will have 4 lots, with the first lot having a value of $150 per square footage. The total for the first year the property is taxed with the improvements will bring in an estimated value of $18.8 million. Due to completion dates in 2025, there's no values recognized for the years of construction. On the second and commercial property values phase, the value jumps to upwards of $30 million. With the continuous conservative growth rate of 2%, the values of the combined properties grow steadily with an upwards value by the end of the TERS term of $46.4 million. And then moving to the next section, the contributions of the city and county are agreed upon from the TERS agreement to be 50%. Since values are not recognized until tax year 25, contributions don't start until 26. The first year of contributions will only bring in $83,000, but will grow substantially once the rest of the phases are built out. The estimated amount of revenue this development would bring in could reach to upwards of $4 million. You'll see under the blue columns, we have agreed to have a revenue split between the city and developers of 50-50, which is in our TERS final project and financing plan agreement. The city reimbursements and developer costs could each receive upwards of $2 million, depending on the final agreement between the city and the developer. Now, the purple columns on the far right is the amount the developer estimates the public improvement reimbursements will be. As stated in our TERS policy and application form, we require a probable opinion of estimated construction costs from an engineer. You can find this opinion letter on the yellow tab in application. The opinion received estimates about $1.1 million of infrastructure costs to be expensed. And the final payment of the estimated requested reimbursements would be fully paid out by fiscal year 42. Based on the conservative growth rate and the estimates of the opinion letter, the revenue generated from the properties will be able to cover the estimated public improvement reimbursements. And so staff believes that this project will help the economic growth of the TERS and the city. Sorry. If you have any questions, yeah.
No, you're good. I was just like, okay.
Sorry.
I was waiting for the punch.
It's only my second time.
You're good, Orlando. Okay, all right, so give me, it's been a minute since we've taken any action on on an agreement like this. Let's just kind of talk through, what do our next steps need to be? Is this a action item is going to be approval of this, probable opinion of estimate construction cost?
So the action is to approve this application, and in this application, we will use it as to construct an agreement with the developer and the city to have the agreement will be to see how much money they will get reimbursed.
Okay. And one question for you. So just looking through this opinion and estimated construction cost, is this typical to include all of these expense line items? Would that be considered typical? I mean, silt fencing, inlet protection, things like that would that be typical of the infrastructure
Yes,
improvements?
so yeah, we have qualifying expenditures in our policy, and so we reviewed those costs and those qualify.
Okay.
So we included the whole amount.
No, that's good. I just wanted to clarify. And then in terms of, I feel like with this development, even though I know as a council, we've spent a lot of time talking about some of the particulars in terms of access off of Lillis, and I think we have all of that nailed down in the developer agreement. But one thing that was highlighted for me by a citizen was, in this, we really don't have an image of what this final product's actually going to look like as far as the standard of quality in construction. Is that fair? Do you think there's still a little bit of gray area around what we're actually constructing? In this application, we didn't receive how it's going to look like or anything, so. That's what I mean. But
yeah.
I mean, have we addressed that in the PD yet, do you think, as far as the final quality of construction?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That was one of the things, though, that, was highlighted was that, in our standards for agreeing to the reimbursements, that possibly we could kind of better clarify what our expectations are in terms of, with an application like this, seeing more rendering, seeing more of a final product, because it's kind of our last, once we approve this, once we move forward, we've kind of handed off control of the project. Would you think that's a fair statement?
Yes, okay. Yeah.
And then my other question would be, in terms of, you know, the city right now is incurring some infrastructure expenses to benefit this project as well as other future projects up the line from that, right, with our sewer improvement, the Waterloo sewer improvement project. Is there any possibility, are we able to, out of these TERS funds, are we able to reimburse ourselves any for those infrastructure expenses?
I would need to better clarify if we can. I know for admin expenses, we can
Okay.
reimburse ourselves for that, but I can get back with you on if we can do
The
that. Design and engineering, if we can use TERS dollars for that.
Okay, because I know we can't, there's a line, I'm trying to remember, Chris, what is it? There's a line in terms of maintenance and operation versus new infrastructure, right, with TERS funds?
Right.
So I just wasn't sure, but at the same time, I mean, what I'm watching the project being done out on Main Street right now, those are being done with TERS funds, and that's new construction, yet it's still maintenance of existing, right? So,
So with Main Street, the way that's set up is that the TERS pays the debt service to the bonds
okay,
for that,
okay,
so.
fair enough. Okay, all right. Anybody else have any questions? Sorry. Went off the rails there.
Yeah, I'm curious, as the reimbursement percentages and all that, is that something that's already been negotiated? Because I know that'll happen with the agreement, right?
Yeah, that will all happen with the agreement.
So
That will
is this essentially a proposal to the developer that'll be negotiated in the agreement? Like, is this like the city's proposal of what's going to happen, or has this already been kind of?
This is just sort of how, what we're expecting to see through this project. I don't think this will be used as part of the negotiating,
This is just an estimate.
an estimate of this project.
Okay, because as far as the reimbursable amount to the developer, like, you know, the timing of the reimbursements and all that, that's written out on this. I know there's some variables in the actual, you know, when we formed the TERS.
Yeah.
It wasn't, you know, we had some recommendations of how that's reimbursed, but it wasn't set in stone. I think that was able to be negotiated.
Yeah, yes.
So that'll happen subsequent to this.
Yes, that will happen later, and that'll be in that agreement that'll be taken to council.
Okay, so city council will be the ones that negotiate that.
The development agreement would come back here for approval.
Okay.
Before it would go to city.
Okay, yeah, so the agreement will come back here, and then we will present that.
And then any subsequent reimbursement
Yeah.
requests would have to come here first.
Yes.
Okay, so.
They would not go to council, but they would come here, the reimbursement request would.
Okay, so here in 2025, when the first reimbursement requests come in, we'll hear that and approve it? Is that how that'll work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so so when you go, so this action item today, we're basically just approving you to go, or your team to go and continue this process and negotiate this out, and then we'll have a final approval before any funds are committed, is that right? Or
That's
will funds
correct.
be-
Yeah.
Okay, so funds will be committed, and yet, but they require the board's approval.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah,
So we'll get another
once,
shot at it, is what I'm
yeah,
getting.
once the agreement comes through, if that comes through, and then there's a plan in place, and then we start receiving invoices from the developer, and then we'll review those invoices and probably have an engineer review those invoices to make sure that that's correct, and then we'll bring those invoices back up to be approved and have a reimbursement request.
Okay.
I'm just curious, and I don't know how all the processes typically work, but why wouldn't the staff had already negotiated the general terms of the agreement before we get to this point?
I'm not sure.
So this is only the application
Yeah.
to be
Oh, okay.
considered for the TERS.
Okay.
That's
Yes.
all you guys are approving.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna approve the application. It seems that they meet the qualifications based on the policy we put in place.
Perfect.
So we've submitted it to you guys for approval. Staff's recommending approval. And then also, the motion would contain, that's the instruction for staff to move forward with crafting an agreement.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you.
Gotcha.
That helps clarify that.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
One quick question, Orlando. Do you know if there's a reason, and I'm assuming y'all have already vetted this, but I noticed on the application that the applicant will not own the property nor lease the property. Is that because is is the applicant just a holding company, or, you know, I mean, are they, is there something in the structure? I just thought that was interesting that both were checked no, but yet they're applying for the benefit of, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
On page 2, would that be typical?
yes, the applicant's the developer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a land partner involved?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
There is a tax statement about 4 or 5 pages, and that has the owner of that property.
What page did you say that was on, Orlando?
It's about 7 pages in.
Okay. Oh, I see, okay. Grayson Denison joint venture.
Can you remind me what the base year, the base tax year for this TERS, is that 2020?
So, yes, so this TERS was first approved in May of 2021, so it's going to have the base rate of 2020. So it was a tax rate of 0.554667, and so 50% of that will be the TERS rate, which the TERS rate for that year was 0.277334.
Yeah, I was thinking, sorry, I said rate, I meant base valuation.
Oh, base value? Yeah, the base value of TERS 5 is 179,788 and 366.
And that was the 2020.
2020, yeah. And so this newest value for 2022, we're at $253,805,408.
A little bit of growth.
Yeah, $74 million in growth. And so we're hoping that this area grows a lot in its 30-year term.
Yeah.
One last question, this may be a dumb question, but why was the development agreement between the city of Van Alstyne and Texas Home Development, why was that included?
Oh, that's just part of the application process.
To show that they've done it before?
Yeah,
Okay.
they've done it before,
I
yeah.
thought it was a sample, I wouldn't,
No, you're good.
I just wanted to make sure.
Glad you asked that, because I was sitting there going,
I know, it's so weird, you know, I noticed that the other night, and I meant to email that in, so I didn't want to have to ask that from the dais, but
Yeah.
that's okay. Very good. All right, any other discussion at this time, or we're ready to move forward?
Well, sounds like the TERS is doing exactly what it's supposed to, incentivizing people to.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for.
That's great. Okay, well, at this time, thank you, Orlando, appreciate you. I'd call for a motion on item 3B.
So moved.
May I have a second?
second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. At this time, if there's no further business to come before the board, I ask that we adjourn at 11:26 a.m.